The famous surrealist painter Salvador Dali was known for his technical skill. He was great at marketing and he was very eccentric, but first and foremost, he was a great painter, a great surrealist painter. And when we talk about the greatest painters, Salvador Dali is on the list. He was also multifaceted, as he did film, sculpture, design, collaborations, etc. He had significant influence from Sigmund Freud, and he also liked lobsters, and he probably had the best moustache ever. Let's tell this story further. Now, Salvador Dali was born in 1904 in Spain. His older brother died 9 months earlier, and this death haunted Salvador Dali. Now, his father would be considered middle class, as he was a lawyer, and in Madrid, Dali received his formal education in fine arts. Now, Salvador Dali was eccentric in his style even back then. At this point, Dali would study the great masters. Dali had that Cubanist influence and the influence of Sigmund Freud. For those that don't know, Sigmund Freud was considered the father of psychoanalysis. This was part of Dali's art philosophy. Now, Salvador Dali held his first exhibition in Barcelona on November 1925. This exhibition was a commercial success and contained 22 artworks. In 1926, Dali met Pablo Picasso. Now, these are two great minds and two great artists that have the highest artistic intelligence. From what I can gather, they had a complicated friendship. Even though they were great painters, they had different political viewpoints. At the time, some viewed Dali as a sellout. Now, the concept of a sellout is a weird one, and it's still a term used in contemporary music. Now, selling your art for financial resources sounds like a fair exchange, but Dali did like the finer things in life, and some would argue that Dali was not just a painter, he was great at marketing also. In 1929, Salvador Dali meets future wife and becomes part of surrealism. Now, here's a valid question. What is surrealism? And here is a short answer. Surrealism is seen as a depiction of the unconscious mind. Many of the scenes are defined as illogical and therefore, quote, revolutionize human experience, end of quote. Now, in 1931, Dali paints The Persistence of Memory. This is an amazing piece, and the melting clocks or soft watches in this piece are a significant part of this artwork. Apparently, these soft watches represent that time is meaningless in the unconscious world. This is important because time is so important in the real world. So in some sense, this work is philosophical in its experience. Now let's briefly address beliefs, or specifically some of Salvador Dali's beliefs. One of his statements is the following, quote, intelligence without ambition is a bird without wings, end of quote. This reveals Salvador Dali's perspective. From his viewpoint, intelligence is not the significant factor, because in literal terms, we know a bird without wings cannot fly. And what's further interesting is Salvador Dali's perception on his mental health. He feels he is different to others because he knows he is mad. Now, what does it mean to be mad in Salvador Dali's world? This is anyone's guess. But self-awareness is a critical factor according to him. Now, of course, this could just be a play on words. Side note, Michel Foucault has some great insights on the history of mental health, but I digress. Now, Salvador Dali was often clever and articulate with his wordplay. Now, Salvador Dali collaborated with Elsa Schiaparelli in 1934, and this is where Dali created the sketch of the lobster on the dress. In contemporary times, the lobster has become synonymous with serotonin and hierarchy. Now here's a question. What did lobsters mean to Salvador Dali? That may be unclear. However, Dali created the lobster telephone in 1936, and this was clearly a surrealist invention. And Dali went on to create 11 lobster telephones. Now in 1940, Salvador Dali seeks refuge in America. The context of the war here is very important and significant. Now, Salvador Dali also collaborated with Walt Disney. Amazingly, this piece of work was completed in 2003, 45 years after its initial beginning. So this piece of work initially was storyboarded by Salvador Dali and John Hench, who was a Disney studio artist. And despite the creative effort, production was seized at the time. Salvador Dali also created 2 surrealist films. Now, surrealist cinema logically challenges reality, creating images from the subconscious mind. Salvador Dali was part of the surrealism, modern art and cubism movements, and he was a prolific artist, creating 15,000 paintings. Now, Dali had a great impact on the art world, and he was known for his technical skill, and he was known for his bizarre images. Salvador Dali was also multifarious, doing sculpture, design, photography, fiction and poetry. Clearly, Salvador Dali had a very, very high artistic intelligence. Dali also had 2 museums dedicated to his work, and he has had portrayals in popular culture and a significant influence on surrealist art. Now, Salvador Dali knew how to market himself, and considering marketing in today's world is so important, we can say Dali was ahead of his time. But don't let marketing blind you from his genius. Salvador Dali is considered by some the greatest artist in the surrealist movement. We see surrealism all over Instagram, and these are, metaphorically speaking, Salvador Dali babies. Of course, his personality caused controversy, but his paintings were amazing experiences, and that is the important point. Great artists paint great pieces of art, and that's what Salvador Dali did. He was a master in the art context.